people, and I rarely do this actually, I want you to tell them about what's back there because some of them need to read them. And so I'll let that be up to you. But I just wrote a book called Catch the Wind of the Spirit, which is about Ephesians 4 and the 5 ministry gifts that are mentioned there that I think need to be active in every church. And this has had remarkable opportunities for going around the country. I've been having lots of speaking opportunities and invitations from superintendents all over the place because they want to see the flow of all 5 of the ministry gifts: pastor, teacher, apostle, the prophetic, and also evangelism. And, you know, when you have those 5 going, you have a healthy church. And so it talks not just about the people who are in leadership in those areas, but how lay people can be a part of those flows in the church. Every time that there has been a revival, every single time, all 5 of the ministry gifts are in operation. And so I invite you to do that. There's a lot of stories in there. It's a pretty easy read. I am also very interested in the Celtic Church, teach classes on the Celtic Church. And I think that I have a ton of stories, another theme running through it with the Celtic Church that make my point. So if you like Scotland and Ireland and Wales and that kind of thing, you might also enjoy the stories that are in there. I have a daily devotional guide for leaders, and also in the last couple of days, for those of you who were here, you know that I talked on Argentina and what God has done in Argentina. And there's a book back there by our missionaries in Argentina, Rocky and Sherry Grams, that is just packed full of some of the stuff I said in the last couple of nights. So if you missed it, you might like to take a look at that. There's tons of testimonies about what God has done in the awakening and in the revival in Argentina. You know, all the way through history, God has revived his church. He has come in at a time when the church needed to wake up. An awakening is actually another term for revival. Revival isn't just a man-made set of services, some kind of special services. Sometimes we've reduced it to that term. But it's a sovereign move of God, where God comes in and he changes actually a whole community. And I have studied this. I actually teach classes in the Doctor of Ministry program at the Assemblies of God Theological Seminary in Springfield. And I just got done with one on revivals, which was an amazing class to get to teach. I believe that we need to prepare ourselves for a new move of God. The church prepares themselves first before God starts moving out into the community. We have to get ready. So God tells us to wait on him. He tells us to be in his presence. He tells us to wake up. He tells us to change. He tells us to come alive. And he wants to do these things in us. And then he starts changing the community around us. These stories of revival are absolutely incredible. And I've been telling a few of those the last couple of nights. But one of my favorite revivals I'm going to share tonight, and that's the revival in the Hebrides, which were islands off of Scotland. The stories of that are remarkable. My husband and I have had a chance to be there, so I have pictures and things that I'll be showing you of what it really looked like and what God really did in the churches on the island of Harris and Lewis in the Hebrides. So with that introduction and encouragement to open your hearts and your spirits today and tonight, I would like to share with you what God put on my heart for today, and that's in Matthew chapter 9, starting with verse 27, and we have it for you up here. It says, I'm just going to read it, and then I'm going to go back. It says, as Jesus went on from there, I just took the wrong one. It's verse 14. Then John's disciples came and asked him, How is it that we and the Pharisees fast, but your disciples do not fast?" Jesus answered, "How can the guests of the bridegroom mourn while he is with them? The time will come when the bridegroom will be taken from them. Then they will fast. No one sews a patch of unshrunk cloth on an old garment, for the patch will pull away from the garment, making the tear worse. Neither do men pour new wine into old wineskins. If they do, the skins will burst. The wine will run out, and the wineskins will be ruined. No, they pour new wine into new wineskins, and both are preserved." Now, if you look at that package, I just want to talk about it for a minute, and then I'm going to take it apart, like I said. But if you look at that package, it's really kind of an interesting scenario. We have here John the Baptist's disciples coming up to Jesus, and I have always wished that I kind of had a tape recording of exactly how they sounded when they asked their question. The question was, how is it that we and the Pharisees fast, but your disciples do not fast? It sounds to me a little testy. I'm not sure that's the way it was, but it sounds to me like it might have come off like, well, how is it that we and the Pharisees fast, but you folks don't fast? What's the deal here? It sounds a little arrogant. I'm just not sure I like the implications of how this might have come across. Now, I don't know how they actually said it. Maybe it was a sincere question, but if they were being testy, I think it was pretty uppity of them. Jesus then is sitting there, and he has these people